What's up, fuckers?
There it is.
All right. So here we are today. We're very excited about this one. This podcast is special because we have a special guest, and her name is Heather. We've been talking about her all week. I've been looking forward to this podcast all week. I've been texting him. If you guys don't already know, her Instagram handle is Heather_loves_horror.
Great stuff on her page. Go check it out. You'll see when we get to talk with her. She's got a real wide range of knowledge when it comes to horror. Really loves the genre like we do. So we're gonna have some really fun and good interactions with her today on the podcast. We're gonna talk about kind of some of the stuff she's been participating in, like her own podcast, a short film that she participated in during COVID. And then talk about her page and her love for horror in general. So we'll also be talking about Hereditary. This is our Hereditary episode also, and we thought no better episode to have her on than to talk about Hereditary and talk about Ari Aster and just dive into that movie with us. Get another person in there really that loves the genre to talk about such a good horror installment that's come out the last few years.
She's so knowledgeable, guys. I mean, she knows a lot. Even just from the few texts that I texted with her about the movie, she seems like just likely, because you'll see why she's very knowledgeable. As soon as she pops up on this screen, you're gonna see a background full of movies that she has, so that it only makes sense that she's knowledgeable about this type of shit. So
let's talk about our sponsors.
Yeah,
that don't pay us.
Yeah. So we're gonna just bring them. Before we bring her on, we're gonna talk about, first of all, Dos Equis. As you know, we chug a Dos Equis beer before the beginning of every episode.
She's got
beer with her, so she'll be chugging with us as well.
Yep.
The banner.
We got follow on Instagram at boring_Millie. Provided us with this banner. We paid for it. Obviously, didn't just give it to us.
Yeah.
But very, very price friendly. Great looking banner also for us to have as our backdrop on our podcast video editions. So we appreciate that. One of Justin's coworkers really helps us out with that. And then got Brandon Jack, Just Be Kicking It. Follow his brand at Just Be Kicking It on Instagram. Go get you a shirt. Go get you a hat. Go get you a hoodie. Go get you a long sleeve and mention that one. But I got all that except I need the hat. I got to get a hat. So follow his page and everything. And last but not least, we got Haunt Junkies. Justin's boys.
Hey, man, I love them to death. As you know, we talked about them before. I don't know how many haunts are still up at this time, but it is. I mean, go look at their stuff if you want to know if it's good, bad, mediocre. They don't ever bullshit. So
there's still some haunts open through November. So if you're able to see what they had to say about these haunts, go ahead and do that.
Yeah. And Megan, hope you feel better, man. She's sick, guys.
Haunt Junkies.
Yeah, go give her a shout out. Go show her some love and tell her we're all thinking about her. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's put Heather on here, man. We're real excited to have her on. So, all right, Heather. Hey, can you hear us? Okay.
Hey. Yeah.
Oh, much better. Well, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for being patient. We're extremely grateful. We can't thank you enough for being on here.
Well, thank you. I'm just grateful to be on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. I guess we'll hold on before we even ask any questions.
Yeah, before we do anything,
we gotta chug our. Do you have your beer with you?
Yes, I might have to stop in the middle of the show to go to the bathroom.
That's okay.
What kind of beer are you drinking?
They didn't have what I wanted, so I'm drinking what I used to drink, Budweiser.
Budweiser's good stuff. What did you want?
I was gonna get Love Street Carbach.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yeah. Well, he's a big Budweiser guy. He'll drink it on the golf course.
I do like Budweiser on the golf course.
I'm not a big fan of Budweiser, but here's to our podcast, man. I'm looking forward to this. Cheers.
Cheers. All right, so we literally chug it.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to actually chug it. We're just crazy into it. Oof. I've had like half a beer because I've been drinking it as always. Oh, she's going.
That shit sucks.
I got another one, I guess.
She killed it. Oh yeah.
Oh my god, mine is struggling.
Yeah. She's still going. I love it.
That's dedication.
Yeah.
When we put ours in the freezer, we're like dying.
I know. It's bad.
Going ham on it.
Yeah, I know. Nice to get like a.
You had the tall bottle too.
I know. Is that 16 ounces or 12?
But we had one of our. Oh man.
Yeah. Oh, she did. We're doing 12, so you did more than us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like how you grew up to love horror and yeah, and just tell us about you, man. We want to learn about you. So.
Okay. So it started when I was younger, and we go into the video stores and pick out whatever VHS tape we want. And I was always drawn to the horror VHS covers. And my mom liked horror. She let me watch it with her. And then my grandparents liked horror. And so it was normal to me, you know? And then as I got older and stuff happened, like I would kind of like cling on to horror more because it helped me control my fears and anxieties. And I'm just like I'm the type of person, I watch a romantic comedy and I get depressed because like that's not how that shit works. Okay, it might be where the comedy works. So I leave watching a romantic comedy feeling depressed. I watch a horror movie, I know what to expect. I know there's going to be tragedy, you know, like. So it's just easier for me. I like the thrill. I like the feeling that it gives me. And as far as my page goes, I just I don't know. There was an account that I'd seen. It was like Elwin Film or Elfwin, something like that. And this was years ago, and I had already been posting horror content, but you know, I just put like a meme here and there. I didn't really think anyone would care to see what the fuck I was watching.
Yeah.
So from there, it just I don't know. I just kept posting stuff and sharing with people what I'm passionate about and the movies I love and stuff like that. And so that was the start of that.
For those watching, look at that shit behind her. Look at her movie collection. That shit is insane. Are those all horrors? Or do you have things in there that's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have Gattaca, that might be more sci-fi.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a few that aren't horror. I have more horror over there. I have more shelves for them, but they're sad. But the only non-horror that I have on this side are like some of my favorite non-horror movies. Like, I probably have The Departed over here somewhere, or
classic. Love that movie, The Departed.
But yeah,
oh, come on.
Yeah,
come on. Such a good movie. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. It's my favorite.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. I love Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leo is the man. Come on, he should have won. He should have won the Oscar for Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
You seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it. I haven't seen it since it came out though, so
yeah,
like I'm foggy on it. I just remember the "What are you, a fucking now?" You know.
Oh yeah.
I remember that blow like that, but I don't remember enough.
Right.
Right.
I don't
Yeah. Well,
remember
he
That's
was
okay.
he was great in The Departed anyway.
He's just a great actor.
Mhm.
Real quick though,
Yeah.
since you're talking about that sci-fi, but the would you consider Alien or Predator like sci-fi or horror? I'm asking
I
because
mean, I
he
guess
says he. Go ahead.
I would say technically sci-fi, but it's with my horror stuff. Like
Oh yeah.
it's 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 scary, but it is sci-fi. So it's kind of like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I say like Alien. The first
So
Alien is horror to me.
Yeah. For those
Yeah.
watching, sorry for the lag. We're in two completely different states, guys. So she's in Texas and we're in Georgia. So um we do apologize for the lag, but I'm just super happy to have her on, and I'm excited we're finally getting to talk to her about this and talk about her page.
Yeah.
So
So we wanted to ask about your podcast and your short film. So we wanted to hear a little bit more about those.
Yeah. So I know you said that your short film was filmed during the pandemic, so you guys all had to film that yourselves?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It was fun though. I did not know how. I'm like, man, like you have got to the director is Lauren Lepre. I think I said his name right. And he is he's got his hands in a lot of like different not Houston, like horror film events where they play them and stuff like that. And then he's done a lot of work. Like, I thought it was brave to do, and I thought it turned out pretty well, and it seems
So
pretty accurate for the way the
how did
world
you
is.
shoot that? Like, what did you use for your scene?
I used my cell phone.
And then you just sent it to him, and he just put it together.
Yeah.
Is that how that worked?
Well, we did. I can't remember. I think we did Zoom. I think we got on Zoom, and we like talked. Well, he had sent me the script before, and then we like talked about it, and we agreed to start before we were going to record, to like go through the lines and everything and kind of like fill it out and see how it was going. And I forgot your question.
Oh, that answered it.
What
Just
was
on
your
how it
question
was
again?
done.
Yeah. So
But
tell us about your
I think
podcast too, as well. So, yeah. Oh, didn't you also say to me before we move on to your podcast? Didn't you say that this director that you worked with, he was in Terrifier, or he will be in the new one?
he's going to be Terrifier Part 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
he's
awesome.
going to play a role in there. So
Yeah.
he's well established. The dude never stops working.
That's what you got to do. You got to be able
tell
to
him
hustle, man. So, what about the so like, because Terrifier is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. So tell us about your podcast.
So I'm on one with Guts podcast. I'm kind of like more of their guest, like more like a guest role. They've been at it for a couple of years. That's their baby that they created together. So before I joined them, I was going to start my own podcast, and then they asked me to join. And then along the way, I just decided to do mine so that I can have the freedom to post and just do what I want on it. Because
Right.
I want to be able to have people from the horror community in there also. I don't feel like they get enough love. And I want my friends to have recognition and be able to have their names out there. And So that was kind of like the main thing that kind of gave me the ambition to go ahead and do it. But I mean, I'm
Nice.
only 2 episodes deep in it. I'm like, I
Yeah.
had to have an episode with Amy and Elsie Holt, and then Sean Ellis of Ellis Cinema, and then y'all. When if I get to put it there, it'll be episode 3. But
No, that's awesome.
I've got like
Yeah, because
some
I
more
mean,
stuff planned.
we just started too, and which is why we're grateful to have you. You got to always start somewhere. So, you know what I mean. So I gotta. You have anything to ask her before we? Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, like, so you're working on your podcast. So, what's like your vision with it? Are you doing like movie reviews? Are you trying to have guests on to talk, like reaching out to actors, other podcasters, collaboration, stuff like that? Like, what is your vision for your podcast really outside of more specifically than just like spreading knowledge about horror?
Like I said, one way, I told you I get bored easily. So I am really ADD, and if I stick to one thing, I'm gonna burn out really fast. So with that, like I said, I'm trying to give friends exposure, and then I'll reach out to some indie horror directors or actors, kind of, they don't get enough love and respect, and then also there are some movie reviews that are in the works. So I kind of got a little bit of everything. Hopefully I'll get more interviews from directors or producers, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
Right. So what are speaking of some indie horrors, like later towards the end of this, we're going to talk about your top 5, but what are some good indie horrors you've watched recently that you could recommend?
The COVID 2024 that I was in, I thought it was really great. I think it's pretty freaking accurate considering that it seems like everyone's losing their shit right now. Like I can't even go down the road and I had somebody who was behind me in a bigger truck. I drive a Dodge Charger. Pushed me off the fucking road out of the lane that I was already in. I'm like, so like people are losing their shit. And then on time. There's this movie coming up with Damien Maffei, Holt, Felissa Rose, Grant Philgrove, Hannah Fierman, who played the Siren, or I don't know if you remember her as I Like You from the VHS. And then Else played in VHS 2. And then Damien was the man behind the mask for Stranger 2. And then he and then also, did I say Pool Party Massacre already?
You had
Marvick. He's pretty great. Then Lorelai also has another one called The Dark Military, which is going to be, if I'm not mistaken, it may be turned into a trilogy. And then there's another one called On Location. Wait, no, the first one's Time's Up, and then the next one's On Location. Sorry, but they've got a good cast as well. So those are kind of like the horror ones that I know of right now.
Yeah, I think the last indie horror film I watched was The Autopsy of Jane Doe. I think that was the last indie film that was the last indie film I've seen. He actually he recommended that to me. A lot of IFC movies, it's a lot of hit or miss, because that's really most indie films. Really, it's hit or, like, there's really not much of a gray area with indie films. I feel personally like it's either good or it's bad. I don't really see, like, and that's with every genre. I don't mean that just in horror. You know what I mean? So, but as far as like movies go, have you acted in anything prior to this short film? Is that like something that you want to continue to do? Is that something you've done before, or like, how did you manage to get on that film?
it was my first time. We just formed a friendship, and he asked me, and I was like, hell yeah, and I'd love to go on with it. I don't know if I'm a good enough actress for anyone to want me for any more roles, though. But
No, sure, you're
I mean, it would
great.
be fun. You're wanting to get into. What'd you say?
Yeah, he said he's sure you're great. Yeah, it's actually why I moved back to Atlanta was because my agents are down here. So and Atlanta is like the new Hollywood of the South. That's definitely something I want to do, and like I've talked about it before. I wrote like a short thriller last year. Unfortunately, couldn't film right now, and it's actually something I'm doing with Haunt Junkies, and I'm not gonna like right now. Everything's just been put to a halt, especially in Georgia. We're back in the red zone with COVID, and even with the proper
Yeah.
protocols, like I wouldn't want to put like my friends at risk. You know what I mean? Like I'm willing to go out and go like film, but doesn't mean everybody else is. You know what I mean?
So, we got to talk about you a good bit. If it's all right with you, we're going to move into talking about Hereditary for the second half of this.
Yes, please. I don't really like talking about myself, so go for it.
Well, we gotta get to know you. I mean, and want everybody else to get to know you as well. So I think it's important. But I understand.
Yeah. So we want to get your initial thoughts on the movie. We want to get like why you love the movie. Like give us a summary of what really draws you to the movie, and just anything else you really think about the movie in general before we get into like some talking points about it.
Okay. I just like the fact that I'm obsessed with all things witchy, like anything with that kind of background. I don't know if y'all consider it a witchy film, but I do.
Oh yeah.
So, huh?
Absolutely, with like the
So
cult and everything.
That was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I guess is it more of a cult? Yeah.
I would me
I
personally, I would say like it's like demonic cultish. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like everyone gave like really good roles, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like there wasn't just one like climax. There were multiple points of climax where you were just sitting dumbfounded. I think maybe y'all had said before you're just kind of left sitting there in a stupor, and you're like, what the fuck just happened? And
Right.
you're just like I know at one point I had to pause it and just be like, what? But I just think it's crazy that they went through so much effort to get that end result.
Mm-hmm.
And it just doesn't.
I love that story. The writing in that is just incredible. I think the whole movie as a whole, cohesively, is just great. But there's so many things. Like I've seen the movie over. I couldn't even count it on both of my hands. I've seen it that many times now. Because I watch it. I mean, I saw it 3 times in the past week because I was trying to, I was trying to get, because you're just like, a lot about things, and I just wanted to be prepared to talk to you about it. But like that movie, just the more you watch, the more you catch on with things that you miss. Because I feel like the first 3, 4, 5 times that I watched the movie, I missed a lot. And I think I remember telling you that we both did this actually, but after we watched the movie, we went out of our way to go on Reddit, Reddit subs to read about things, because you miss a lot, and it's like a lot of things that you just don't realize is going on in the movie. But for me personally, I think Hereditary is just so unique, and everything as a whole, the writing, they casted it so well. Me and him always talk about how we think Catherine O'Hara should have, or not Catherine O'Hara.
Toni Collette.
Yeah. Sorry, shit's creeks on my mind. Yeah, Toni Collette. We talked about how she should have been nominated. But the problem is like with horror movies, it's hard for people to get nominated for things. You know what I mean? So, but the acting in that is incredible. She's fucking phenomenal. Like she made that movie what it was.
Yeah. I feel like she really did. She, like, you feel her emotion. You can't not feel what she's feeling. Like it like takes over and consumes you. It's and then the way she's crying and everything, like it's just so, I don't know how to explain it. It's just like it's unfathomable to understand what she's going through. She's lost her mom, close to her at all, you know, and they were kind of they were estranged for, I don't remember how long, but
yeah,
you know, you lose her and then you're like, okay, well, why do I not feel bad that she's gone? And then you know, with the rest of the events that happen, and you just keep getting like kind of lost, like, and it's just it's mind warping.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the rest of the cast performance, like building on that tragedy and building on the grief that happens throughout the movie?
I thought it was great. What was that his name? What was it, Peter or something? Why can't I remember?
The son? Yeah, his name's Peter.
The son?
Yeah, it's Peter.
Okay. Right. I thought I had it wrong. But I thought he was great. I thought Charlie was great. And Dad too. I mean, he's like sitting there watching his wife kind of lose her shit with her son. You know, when they're all going through all this trauma, like, yeah, I get it. Everyone handles things differently, but you still you got to have some tact in that. And it was kind of like he seemed like he struggled to know what to do in handling the situations whenever she was having her chaotic moments. And poor Peter, like, I felt so bad for him. And then I thought that Charlie played. You didn't feel bad for him?
No, dude.
So
kills his sister, man. He was over there trying to smoke some weed and wasn't watch. Clearly, you gotta watch out. Like, if I had a younger sister or I take care of my brother. I watch him all the time. If I'm out in public or whatever the case is, can't. Clearly, she's allergic to nuts, and like you're too worried about yourself to worry about your sister. And then now it's your fucking fault.
But he does get like slowly broken down through the movie.
Yeah, that's one thing I really love about that is just like he becomes more and more and more vulnerable the whole as the movie goes on. Which is why Paimon ended up choosing him, I believe, was because of that. So
he's a male.
Yeah, and he's a male. So as far as
Matt, for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I see what you are saying, and I do completely agree with the Peter thing. But at the same time, like Charlie said, she did not want to go, and the mom pushed.
Yeah.
And so I could see how either one of them would feel at fault or feel guilt. You know, like I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I was either one of them, because the mom's like,
no.
Take her anyway. And
yeah, no.
Yeah, I was wrong not to watch her. Then to just avoid what happened at the end of the night and just go to sleep like everything's cool. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I've personally have a different opinion on it than Justin does. I feel bad for him all the way through because he didn't want to bring his sister to the party. He disguised it as a barbecue. Didn't want to bring his sister to the party. he did step away. Like, as kids, we all make stupid decisions. So he just stepped away at a party and was like, thought she would be fine. Didn't know that the cake had nuts in it. And imagine how scared he was when his sister walked in and she was saying she couldn't breathe and he had just finished smoking. So, like, that's just, I felt so terrible for him.
Extra paranoid.
Right. So that's where I fall on, because like he's the stuff that's happening to him and that family, and like you said, like the dad being the perfect bystander. I mean, if we'll get to talking about like the dinner scene, for example, with him, Tony Collette, and Alex Wolff as Peter, but like he's just there as they're breaking down, like and laying everything out on the table. So I completely agree. I feel bad for him in that regard. And throughout the movie, just being weakened. But they're all fantastic. And did you know Charlie played Matilda on Broadway?
No way. I had no idea.
I
She's
looked
a
at
very
her
talented
credits.
actress.
Right. I looked at her credits before to see what else she had been in, and it's award-winning performance as Matilda on Broadway, which is wild to me.
Yeah. That's
She's awesome. I think one of the things I always tell people about horrors, or like I'm real, I guess I don't know, stickler, or like I'm real big on, is acting is so big for horror films, because a lot of times you can be way over the top. Because when it comes to horrors, it's hard, or thrillers even. It's hard not to write corny lines. You know what I mean? So, like sometimes it's hard not. Yeah, and but the acting can make or break the film. But in the movie, there are 5 main characters, right? So like, it's mom, Charlie, the dad, the son, and Joan. Those are like the 5. You did this whole movie. So you have an hour and a half worth of movie with just 5 people, essentially, right? Because those are the main characters of the movie. But all 5 of them did a really, really great job just acting, which made me feel invested.
Right.
So we talked a little bit. Yeah. So we talked a little bit about obviously the iconic scene of Charlie having the peanut allergy and dying by having that horrible accident when her and Peter are driving home and hitting the pole.
For those that don't know, it's hard just to explain it real quick. It's a horror film about this family who I guess is part of a cult, and they believe in this thing called King Paimon, and he's supposed to take shape of a human body, but it's got to be a male, and it's got to be a vulnerable male. And the son and daughter that we were talking about are 2 bodies that he has been in.
Well, he starts out in Charlie, and then they're trying to get him into a male host because they're promised riches if he does. So what I wanted to ask Heather was what you thought of, obviously, that iconic scene where Charlie dies. Like, that's the pinnacle of the movie, I think. So I want to get your thoughts on that.
It's just like, like she's sitting there, having what do you call it, anaphylactic attack, and like the kid's stoned, so he's paranoid as hell, and he knows he fucked up, and it's just like I can't imagine him just being so scared just to hurry up and get her to the hospital, because it's a time limited thing of her getting treatment, and then all of a sudden decapitation happens, and it's just like, wow. And he was just like, so I don't know, it was mind-blowing to me, and then watching how he reacted to it was just, I mean, how would you react to that? Would you just be like in such shock that you would go upstairs and go to, do you say something like,
Right.
I wouldn't know how I'd
I
react,
wouldn't
though.
I wouldn't know what
Especially
to
with
do
her
in that
stones.
situation.
Like,
Yeah.
crazy.
Like, does he go wake up his mom or something like that? Like, because obviously how she figures out about it is mind blowing the next morning, and a testament to what you were saying about how Toni Collette expressed her emotions. Like the scene of her like on the ground, like saying how she doesn't want to live anymore. Like that's like after she sees Charlie, like that's heavy.
Very.
So heavy. And
Yeah,
like
you feel it really
that
hard.
stuff. Yeah.
Like,
So obviously, like that's one of the things that steamrolls. Like that's when you know the movie's kind of not playing around, right? And so you start getting all this sequence of events that slow tragedies that are happening to the family. And do you think, like, because I know the cult symbol is kind of all throughout the movie, the one that's worn by her grandma. So do you think like it's outside forces throughout the movie that are controlling these events that make this happen?
I think so. And I could be wrong. When y'all are saying that I have all this knowledge, I'm like, this is the one movie that I'm like have the least amount of knowledge. I've only got to watch it, so I'm like, but I mean, it felt like there were a lot of contributing factors to it, because you have the woman who's the friend of Joan, and then she meets Toni Collette's character. I can't remember her name. She goes and meets her at the grief counseling, and she knows who she is, and Toni doesn't know. And that's like really manipulative, heavy
Right.
scheming. And some of the characters in the movie, like Joan herself did so much to just to set things in motion that it's just, I don't understand why she did it. Like, I can't imagine.
She was so random. She just randomly showed up, like at the beginning when she's in her car, and this girl just knocks on her car window just out of nowhere. I at the beginning when I first watched, I remember I was like, this random. She's so random. Why is she here? Something's got to happen with her, because it's just some random person. And then when Toni Collette saw the floor mat, I guess that's when everything changed for her. So,
yeah. So obviously, like the movie does a really good job of building like on tragedy all the way throughout and talking all this stuff. And the last 30 minutes, it becomes like that standard horror film. You got people in the background hiding in dark corners. You have jump scares over and over. Like, how did you feel about the last like 30 minutes of that movie when Toni Collette's running all over the place, banging her head against the ceiling, like crawling on the walls?
I was like, shit, after all that happened, like, I mean, I might be doing the same thing. It was wild and crazy, but just think, I don't know. It blew my mind. Like, the whole movie just still gets me. Like,
It's
I
extremely
probably want to
unique.
bang my head up against stuff too, and just not be alive.
I did you feel
For sure.
uneasy the whole film? Like throughout the whole thing?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they start off with the mom's obituary, then they go to the house, and they show the dad and Peter, and he's like, "Get ready, here's your suit," and then it's just like one tragedy after the next, and it's just like, oh, it couldn't possibly get worse than this, and then it does.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the book? I don't if you remember the book and the drawing and how it correlated to Annie, and but it ended up killing the father.
Like catching on fire.
Yeah. So what did you think about that part of the story?
Someone's at my door again. I that was where she was explaining what was going on? Was that when Joan was
Say that
explaining
again?
what was going on?
No, so there's a book
No, that
there
was
where that she throws into the fireplace. It's a book of drawings from Charlie. But whenever she tried to get rid of it, it would start to burn her arm. And then whenever the book is not on fire, she wasn't on fire. But she told her husband to throw the book in the fire, and ended up killing him instead of her.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy. I don't know what to think about that. I don't know how someone thought of all that.
I personally thought it
Kinda,
meant like
kinda leaves
they
me.
were not in control.
Yeah, because
Yeah, definitely not.
it
I
confused
feel
me
like
a little bit.
I feel like they were in control.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like there are a lot of parts that kind of left me like, okay, I don't completely understand this.
Yeah.
But
Ari Aster.
I definitely agree. I don't feel like they and do what?
Sorry, go ahead. Say what you were saying.
What'd you say about Ari Aster?
He had mentioned that like Toni Collette making miniatures and stuff, and in her paint, her being basically the miniature artist is like really tongue in cheek of the film, saying that like they basically weren't in control and they were just being moved around like they were miniatures in a dollhouse, which I thought was really cool with this movie. Because it makes sense.
Yeah, because that's one of the first few things they cut to. They do what? The grandmother's obituary, then they do the treehouse, then Peter and them, and then isn't it Toni Collette and they're working on the figures or something? Or they zoom in on the house.
Yes.
Not the treehouse, the dollhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I didn't. Yeah.
Because that whole thing. Speaking of those dollhouses, like the very beginning of the movie, one thing I really loved, and Ari Aster is really good at doing this because he did it in Midsummer as well. Are these transitions? So I don't know if you remember the very very beginning of the movie with the dollhouse, and she's working on her craft, but as soon as you zoom into that dollhouse, it zooms into Peter in his bed and then his dad coming into the room. His transitions, and specifically this movie, I mean, they were incredible. Very just done very 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 well. And he did the same thing over in Midsummer, like the transitions that he has, where you, instead of just cutting black and going straight to the next scene, he does so well. And you even see it in all of his other movies. So that dude's incredible. I love him.
I'm especially fond of Midsummer. That one's the one that I've watched. Like every time I watch Hereditary, someone interrupts me, and I'm just like, why? Like, just let me watch a movie in peace. But Midsummer, I've seen that one so many times. I just love when someone goes up in flames. I don't know why. I just felt like you can't help but feel sorrow for Annie because, in the beginning, what happens with her sister and her family. Like, that's some crazy stuff. They're on the edge of breaking, and then it's like feels like he's obligated to take care of her. I would rather handle death on my own than have somebody just stick around because they're obligated. And then, like, as sick and twisted, I was like rooting for her to get with, what is it? Is it Pell or Pele? I always get it wrong. Is it Pell or Pele?
For what?
Like the one who brought him to Sweden.
Oh. I
don't remember
like
his name.
It's Pell or Pele. Say it wrong. I say stuff wrong all the time. But like he's like, do you feel loved by him? Do you feel held by him? And as a you know, I guess anyone can relate to it because I'm pretty sure everyone's been in a relationship where you just feel like there's nothing really there and you're just dangling by a string, and it hurt to get with just do it with a Christian because like to him it was like he did have some sorrow and sympathy there, but it was more obligatory and a burden to him. Even when it was just birthday, home dude remembered it, and she had just told him about it prior to them leaving. And her boyfriend knows through this tragedy, and then he's like, "Oh, it's your birthday? Oh yeah, right, my bad." Like what the fuck? Like and all the crazy events taking place. I was just glad to see him in that bear suit.
Right. Same here. That movie is, and it's cool because it's all in daylight.
Yeah, the theme, the color, the
Yeah.
tone in that movie is completely different than most like horror films. And like at first, when you first watch it, you think it's just weird, you know, until you get probably a little over halfway through the movie and you realize that movie, it's like it's a lot of psychological shit. Like it's a like it really fucks you up in the mind, and it's like, but that's something that Ari Aster is good at. Like he does stuff like that. That's good. And also in that movie, I felt uneasy, just the same as I did in Hereditary. Whoever their sound supervisor, I don't know if it's the same sound supervisor in Midsummer and Hereditary, but whoever their sound supervisors are did a really, really great job because it's super eerie the whole time. In both movies. So something we like to ask everybody is this: your top 5 movies. Doesn't necessarily need to be like a good film, you know, but just what are your top 5 horrors? Because for example, Friday the 13th, part 7, that's in his top 5. Terrifier is in my top 5. Both of those aren't necessarily like smart or, you know, just a well cohesive story, but it's just something that we enjoy. So what are your top 5 horrors?
Right. Reanimator, My Bloody Valentine, the original, but I do also have a lot of love for the remake, especially with Tom Atkins in it. Did I already say Friday the 13th Part 2?
You did not.
Nope.
The Neon Demon, and I would say, do what? Can you hear me?
I like that you said Neon Demon.
You know, what about the
Yeah, we just didn't catch your 5th one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Probably Nocturnal Animals. I don't know if that's more. It's between that and Midsummer, and then The Killing of a Sacred Deer, which I'm not really sure if that's horror or more thriller, but they're all pretty great. So what are y'all's top
Right. So
5s?
So mine, I'm hoping I get this right from when I originally said it.
Did you write it down?
I think I did write it down. I got it somewhere in here. I'm gonna pull that up real quick. But I love that you have Reanimator in there because that's not a common one that I know people like. But I actually love those movies. And yeah, so I love Reanimator. So I got my 5 up. So my 5 are Conjuring is 1, Hereditary is 2, Friday Part 7 is 3, and this is in no order. And then the Strangers, just that came out, and not the second one, just the original The Strangers. and I love Cabin in the Woods. Absolutely love Cabin in the Woods. So they're new age ones, except for Friday the 13th. Because I was pretty much scared of everything before when I first started watching it.
Mine are in no order: Lights Out, Hereditary, the original Halloween, As Above, So Below, and Child's Play. But I would definitely throw Terrifier in there for just an honorable mention. I love Terrifier. I actually showed that to my little brother who's like 12. Actually, he's 14 now, but like when he was 12, I think that's when I showed it to him.
So what's your favorite out of all of your 5?
So how excited?
What? What'd you say?
Out of all my 5?
Yeah.
Out of all 5? I kind of like. It's like, I'm so bad at choosing. I'm gonna say the Neon Demon, but mine changes. Like, my top 5 might be different on another day. There's just so many good ones out there, but I really like everything. But I don't know. It's too hard to choose.
I think this is a good spot now that we've talked about your top 5 to kind of give you an opportunity to plug your Instagram, talk about just like mention the name of your short film we kind of talked about before, and mention the name of your podcast one more time before we wrap this up.
Okay. My Instagram is Heather_horror. So it's Heather Loves Horror. The movie is COVID 2024. You can find it on YouTube. You can watch it for free. It's like probably about a 30-minute short horror film. And then I do two podcasts. One with Guts podcast where I'm kind of like more guest, and then my own, which I recently just started, Heather Loves Horror. And if you're looking that up, you just type in Heather Horror with no spaces or anything. Did I answer everything?
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry for thanks for being patient with us today. So this is our first time using StreamYard. So hopefully it comes out okay. Thank you for jumping on with us. We really appreciate it. I can't thank you enough, man. I'm glad we got to talk to you about Hereditary and got to talk to you, got to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, and hopefully everybody follow her, man, because we love her. So thank you.